Welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 15 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is another day through the Kamoshida arc. We get a question at school and we get it right because we're smart. Bro, after done with his stuff at the palace, does baseball. Nobu decides to get started on some social links. Interacting with Ryuji in the morning, progressing his storyline, and it's a very emotional stuff. But his knowledge allowed Ryuji to, get over his stuff and help him along with his journey. And, do a little bit of exercise at the process. You gotta work both your body and brain. Nobu also interacts with Sojiro and starts his social link. He had nothing better to do. And so with that, he befriends Sojiro, and that's it. Kindly Joe goes to the palace, and he does so. He has a nice big interaction with everybody, progressing Morgana Social Link, and after that, the big battle gets right on away. His kindness allows him to know the way forward. And with Anne's big moment happening right after, we go ahead and escape the palace. Barely, thanks to Ryuji. But that's that. And that's for calming everyone down. It's hoping for the best for the future. He heads home and cleans Sojiro's shop to increase his kindness. And then we go to Gutsy, who finally sends out his calling card, as he's now brave enough to face the dangers in the palace. He also does a bit of studying so he doesn't fall behind. Charmer, after making a bunch of money and making sure he's fully stocked up, heads into the palace. And after Anne gets her name, we find all the will seeds. And with that, we find a treasure. His charm led him away, and he now is prepared to send out the calling card tomorrow. And, all that. He also decides to study as well, just because he wants to make sure he's fully prepared. Ren, after having been to Palace a few days ago, decides to study at the library to increase both his kindness and multiple stat, and he also interacts with Sojiro. Lacey, after rushing home, also decides to interact with Sojiro just to make sure he has room to do so. Well, thank you for all for coming, and I'll hope to see you all again. This is iRoll Kings. Hello everybody, and welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 17 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is the end of the main guys doing the palace, but we get asked another question, and we did it. Pro does his thing to show he's fully prepared for future events, and Noble Joe goes and studies because he wants to be as smart as possible. Not much to do to increase your intelligence on most days, so he just studies for both days. Kindness also studies in the morning and then interact with Sojiro at night. Like I said, not much you can do to increase your kindness during the day. You also get kind of a hint to Futaba in this part, and we will be meeting her later. But that's that. If we move along, after a final call with him, because these things happen, Gutsy goes and interacts with Ryuji to progress his storyline, because that rank 7 bonus is way too good for me to pass up. I will not be playing this game without the ability to just run into personas and kill them instantly. That ability is way too good, so we do a bit of running with Ryuji and help him get over his past trauma. And with that, we move along. And make sure to let him know we're okay. And then Charmer finally goes to the palace today. With their charm and all their money, they are fully ready for the dungeons ahead. And with that, we head in, find the treasure, and see Morgana be a little freak. But other than that, we progress his social link and start a boss fight with King Kamoshida for the second to last time. Because Lazy's going to take a little bit longer because he's lazy. And he's not ready to do it just yet. But with that, we have Anne do her thing of showing off her cool power against the evil man. But we convince him to be a better person and escape the palace. Ryuji almost dies, but he's fine. And then, there's not much to do on these days. So, after calming everyone down that we got this, we go home and study because there's not really much. You can't leave the house after our palace. Ren decides to study because he's behind on everything. Being the first one to go to the palace and everything. He also decides to try and progress Sojiro a little bit more by just hanging out with him. Thank you for coming. Welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 16 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today is a pretty boring day, and Pro goes and does his things of baseball and making tools. And Knowable Joe goes and interacts with Tai Takemi to start her social link. Like I said, there's not much to do on days where on weekends you can't really increase your intelligence, so he decides to reach the second best stat, guts. But he then goes and studies because he wants to be the smart boy. Kindness decides to interact with Ryuji today, and stuff happens with Ryuji's old friend turning on track team. But with his kindness, Ryuji gets along and moves along. And we get to rank 3. He then goes home, and a bit more with Ryuji, and goes to clean LeBlanc's place. And that's that. Gutsy, with his bravery, rushes into the palace and finally wins the treasure. This is easy for him because he's very big-hearted and brave, getting to rank 2 with Morgana, and after a sneak attack from the evil king, we move on to his boss fight. Everyone is big and prepared, and with a big bold heart, we defeat the king, and Anne has her moment. But thanks to her friends and her own kindness and bravery, he is fair, and we move on. We escape the collapsing castle, and that's that. After a bit of conversation, I guess Gutsy just goes home and studies as well. Which is good for him. Charmer decides to go send out the calling card. But the problem is, Lazy also had to come here on this day due to the thing. Ren, after a few days of interacting with social links, decided to increase his social stat. He goes work at the convenience store to increase his charm, because that's really the only thing he can do this day. And so he does. And then he goes home and cleans up does some laundry after so long. And finally, Lazy just goes home, interacts with Sojiro, and goes to bed. Welcome to iRoll Kings. This is day 19 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today, we have no palace stuff, but everyone's doing their own thing. Mostly everybody interacts with Ryuji this day because that rank 7 bonus is way too good for me to pass up. So, basically everybody this day goes and interacts with him and get to rank 4. Which is the maximum you can do before the next palace. This allows, rank 3 and then to rank 4. But, it's just a thing. We don't got much else to do, but Pro goes plays some baseball after he's done hanging out with Ryuji. Knowable Joe goes and studies up after hanging out with Ryuji. Kindly decides not to interact with Ryuji and decides to study instead. Just make sure he's not fully behind on intelligence. And all that. And then he goes and, makes some coffee at LeBlanc's, which allows him to get some charm and also progress Sojiro's social link the next time that they get the chance to. And with that, things just move along nice and smoothly. Also, making the coffee really helps a lot. Yes, he decides, after interacting with Ryuji, watch his show, which increases his guts. And Charmer does his day job because he got nothing better to do. Because, he likes to do his thing. He also deals with the customers very well, getting a big boost in his charm, and a good amount more money, and then goes home to watch his show. With that, he progresses very fast. Ren decides to, after hanging out with Ryuji, progress Sojiro's social link even further. So, he does his thing. That coffee's really nice, and Ren's gonna focus on his social links with the fantasies and Sojiro and them. Because that's what you do when you're a good team leader. Finally, Lazy, after calming down Morgana, goes to bed. Thank you for watching. Hello everybody and welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 20 of the Persona 5 Day Tracker. This is going to be the last day of no palace stuff for the Kamoshida arc. As we, I guess, when you get to decide what you do in the morning. Pro did his normal thing and increases his proficiency. Nobujo goes and studies up, as that's really all you can do. No social links open up to increase your intelligence, no activities either. Kindly gets a movie, interacts, goes study as well, and he interacts with Sojiro. Just doing his best. Also, we get kind of a hint of Futaba today. That makes us very excited because once we get to rank 4, he'll be locked us out until we can recruit Futaba in 5 months. Gutsy decides to go see his best girl, Tadakemi, and does some testing for her medicine. This is what he does today, and because it's the social link with no dialogue, it's a bit longer than most of the other ones. But he gets through it because he's a brave man, and he can talk down this cop, as Tai had a false report called on her. And, all that kind of stuff. He also gets called back to do this later. Good for him. And that, after increasing his guts and getting a call from her to make sure he's okay, because, he is. He also does the training, because, he wants to make sure he's bulked up. He's a bulky boy. And so he will occasionally do that. Charmer goes and works his day job, at the convenience store. He tries to do this as often as possible. He also takes a bath, because he wants to be clean. Ren decides to work at the flower shop to increase his kindness, as he wants to make sure he can befriend and Akamaki when that opportunity presents itself. He also interacts with Sojiro to try and progress him along. Lazy goes to bed. Thank you for Hello everybody, welcome back to iRoll Kings. This is day 18 of the Persona 5 Day Tracker. We're done with the palaces for a while, so everyone's doing their own things, like Pro going to play baseball for all day, and then Nobujo going to study. He's very ready to do his own thing, and he wants to ace that exam. He also increases his guts at the same time, due to that being the only way to increase his intelligence. So he does that. Kindly just hangs out with Sojiro. That's the only thing he can do. Because he decides to watch a movie. He's just gonna relax. He did all the big, scary stuff already, and he's ready to just head out. He'll watch his own TV show in his room. It's a parody of the X-Files. And all that stuff. Charmer also decides to after being done with the palace, interact with Ryuji a bit more. And, using his charm helps Ryuji not, start a fight. As, Ryuji is known to do. But after all that stuff in the palace, he's ready to just relax. So, not wanting to start more conflict already. And all that. This is why we do our thing and get level 3 in the Chariot social link. We make our way home, assure Ryuji that we're fine, and all that. Yeah. And then we go and take care of the plant and watch a movie. Because, we do our thing. And we want to make sure our charm is as high as possible. Red also decides to study at the library because he doesn't want to be a Dumbo when school starts up again. Well, okay, I guess it is starting, but you know what I mean. The exams are coming up. And he also decides to make some tea to be able to progress social link. So, he also increases his charm because he's a very charming man. And so, after all that, he gets a good grade from Sojiro. Because, he's good at his stuff. And finally, we meet Lazy Joe, who does his thing. Thank you for watching. Hello everybody, welcome back to Hyrule Kings. This is day 21 of my Persona 5 day tracker. Today, Lazy will do his thing at the palace, but Pro instead goes and does his thing. And he gets to rank 4. Basically almost maxed out. Noble Joe decides to go to Takemi to, meet with her and increase his guts. Because that's his second best stat. And he had really nothing else to do this day, so that's what he does, and moves along. And, might as well, Guts would be second best stat due to one of the only studying areas also increasing your Guts during school time. Especially during this part of the game. So, he does that. And, having better medicine and better death personas is good anyway. So, he makes his way home after taking some trial medicine, and he and some others go and study at LeBlanc's place. Kindly Joe also decides to work at the convenience store to increase his charm, because you need level 2 charm to work at the flower shop. So that's what he does. He goes to the first day at the convenience store, gets rank 2 in his charm, and then goes to Cleese LeBlanc's place. Well, with that, we move on to Gutsy, who decides to go watch a movie, and, all that kind of stuff. Charmer also does his day job, and, all that kind of stuff. And he also takes a bath. We don't actually get to see Red in this episode, as he just repeats actions others do. But Lazy, now realizing that there's not much time left before he has to do stuff, decides to head on over to the, palace. He collects all 3 will seeds, pretty easily, as you watch everyone else do their thing. And, getting the cool treasure and collecting all the will seeds. This means, once he made his way to the treasure room, he's all ready to go. And, he'll do it at his own pace. But, now that he knows what he needs to do, he will make his way out of the palace, and thank you for watching.